Peace and grace to you, beloved child of God. There's a reason you're here right now. It's not by accident. It's not random timing. Something deeper called you to this message because your spirit knows there's something you need to hear. Today, you've been sensing something shifting inside you. You can feel that love is near, not the kind that fades, not the kind that plays games, but the kind that's divine, the kind that feels like home. Your heart has been praying in silence, even when your mouth didn't move, even when you didn't have the words. God heard the whisper of your soul. He heard the ache. He heard the longing, and He's been working behind the scenes. This message is not just another talk about love. It's revelation. It's strategy. It's truth that cuts through confusion and brings peace to your heart. Because some of you have been waiting for proof. Proof that what you feel is real. Proof that what you prayed for is coming. Proof that your soulmates. Silent prayer has been answered. Maybe you've been through seasons of delay. You've questioned if God forgot you. You've seen others find love and wondered if something is wrong with you. But I want you to know nothing is wrong with you. You are not late. You are right on schedule for divine alignment. When Scripture says, "No good thing will He withhold from those who walk uprightly," it means that love is not a reward, it's a reflection of who God is. Love is His nature. And because He lives inside of you, you attract what mirrors His presence. In this teaching, I'm going to show you 7 divine principles, 7 truths that reveal how your soulmate's silent prayer was heard and what that means for you. Right now, you're going to understand why it took the time it did. You'll see the spiritual pattern behind divine pairing. You'll learn how to position your heart to receive what's already yours. This is not about chasing people. It's about aligning with purpose. When you align with God's timing and character, you stop begging for what's meant for you. You start attracting it naturally because the frequency of your heart and the frequency of God's promise begin to match. So as you listen, I want you to open your heart fully. Let this message speak to the deepest parts of you. Let it remind you that your story is not over. You are not waiting in vain. Love is already unfolding. The one meant for you has already been praying. And heaven heard both of your voices long before you even knew each other. By the end of this message, you're going to walk away with clarity, with confidence, with peace, and most importantly, with proof. Proof that your soulmate's silent prayer was heard. Proof that you were never forgotten. Proof that divine love is not a fantasy, it's a promise. So before we dive in, if you believe this message is for you, if you believe love is part of your divine purpose, subscribe to Wisdom from Above Right. Now, because what we're building here is more than a channel, it's a community of healed hearts, a tribe of people walking in wholeness, and I promise, by the end of this video, you'll never see love the same way again. Number 1, divine timing is never denial. You asked for love. You prayed for connection, and for a while it seemed like heaven was silent. But silence from God is never absence. It's often strategy. Because when it comes to love, God is not rushed by your timeline. He's guided by your readiness. Every delay you faced wasn't punishment, it was preparation. The truth is, God never denies what He intends to give you. He just won't give it too early. When you read Scripture, and it says, "To everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven." That includes your love story, your soulmate's silent. Prayer was heard long before you even prayed your own. But heaven needed to make sure both hearts were ready, both healed enough, both surrendered enough to love without fear, you see. Love is not just about emotion, it's about assignment. God connects purpose before He connects people. And if He would have given you that relationship too soon, you would have treated it as validation instead of revelation. He waited until you didn't need someone to complete you, so you could meet someone who complements you. That's why timing matters, because divine love is too heavy to rest on an unhealed foundation. Some of you have cried asking why it didn't work with that person, why they couldn't love you the way you loved them. But what you saw as rejection was really redirection. If you would have stayed with who you thought was your person, you would have missed who God actually designed for your destiny. You're not being punished, you're being positioned. The waiting season is sacred. It's where God matures your discernment so you can recognize your soulmate when they appear, because sometimes your soulmate doesn't look like your preference, but they'll fit your purpose perfectly. Divine timing aligns two journeys into one intersection of grace. It's not random, it's orchestration. While you were healing from your past, your soulmate was being strengthened in theirs. While you were learning how to love yourself, they were learning how to love from truth, not trauma. And when heaven sees both hearts walking in wholeness, that's when the meeting happens. That's when what you've been praying for becomes visible. If you've been wondering if God forgot your prayer, He hasn't. He's just preparing both paths to collide at the right moment, because the love He's bringing into your life isn't temporary, it's covenant-level love, the kind that stands through storms. So I want you to rest tonight knowing this. You're not behind. You're not missing out. You are in sync with divine order, and when divine timing meets divine readiness, everything you thought was delayed suddenly makes sense. That's the proof. Your soulmate's silent prayer has been heard, because both of you are being shaped into who you need to be. So when you meet, it won't just be a spark, it'll be purpose, meeting purpose, promise, meeting promise, and love that feels like home, meeting the one who finally understands why it took so long. Number 2, your healing. Prepared, the way for love isn't found by accident. It's revealed through healing before God brings two people together. He often brings both of them through a season of breaking, not to destroy them, but to purify their love. Because the truth is, we can only love someone else as deeply as we've learned to love ourselves. And self-love isn't arrogance. It's alignment with how God already sees you. Some of you had to go through heartbreak that almost crushed you, not because God wanted to hurt you, but because He needed to teach you the difference between attachment and love, between being chosen and being used, between emotional addiction and divine connection. When Scripture says He heals the brokenhearted and binds up their wounds, it's not poetic language, it's a spiritual law. Because healing is the soil where lasting love grows. You can't build forever on unhealed trauma, and you can't expect holy love while still bleeding from unholy experiences. So God took time to heal you. He separated you from relationships that fed your pain. He isolated you to reintroduce you to your worth. He allowed people to walk away because He knew what was coming wouldn't fit who you used to be. Your soulmate's silent prayer was for someone healed enough to handle their heart, and God answered that prayer by healing you first. Think about that. You became someone's answered prayer without even knowing it. While you were crying over who left, God was preparing you for who's coming. Healing changes your spiritual frequency. It changes what you attract. When your heart is healed, you stop chasing what breaks you. You start choosing what builds you. You no longer confuse chaos with chemistry. You begin to recognize peace as passion and consistency as care. Your healing is the greatest love letter you've ever written to your future, because it tells heaven, I'm ready for what's real. Some of you right now are in the in-between. You've done the inner work, you've forgiven, you've surrendered, but you're still waiting. And that waiting feels like a test. It is. Because healing doesn't stop when the pain ends. It continues when patience begins. You're being strengthened in stillness. You're being refined in the quiet. So when love shows up, you won't sabotage it with insecurity or fear. You'll recognize it as familiar because it will speak the same healed language your heart has been practicing. That's the beauty of divine Design, God heals you in private, then reveals love in public. Your soulmate's silent prayer wasn't just for someone beautiful, it was for someone safe, someone sound, someone whole, and that's who you've become. You're no longer waiting for love. From desperation, you're waiting from readiness. And when two healed hearts meet, there's no confusion, no chasing, no begging for attention. There's peace, there's purpose, there's partnership. So if you've been wondering why healing took so long, why you had to face so much alone, it's because you weren't just being restored, you were being prepared to carry love without losing yourself. That's the proof. Your soulmate's silent prayer has been heard, because healing didn't just make you stronger, it made you recognizable to the one who's been praying for you too. Number 3, God hid you to protect what's sacred. Sometimes you thought you were being overlooked, but really you were being hidden. Hidden is not forgotten. Hidden is protected. God will often keep you out of sight until the wrong eyes are no longer watching, because what He's building in you is sacred, and sacred things can't survive in careless hands. You might have felt invisible in love, like nobody saw your value, like no one appreciated your heart, but God did. And instead of letting you waste your love on people who weren't ready, He covered you. That quiet season, that isolation you didn't understand, that loneliness you tried to pray away, it was divine protection. God was not ignoring you. He was guarding the purity of your heart. When Scripture says, "Under His wings you will find refuge," that's not just about safety from danger, it's about protection from distraction, because distraction is one of the enemy's favorite strategies, to keep you busy chasing almost love. So you never have time to receive true love. That's why God hid you. You stopped being easily accessible. You stopped explaining your worth to people who couldn't see it. You stopped lowering your standards just to be chosen. And that shift, that holy isolation, was the proof that heaven had started preparing something real. You see, when God is about to reveal a promise, He first conceals it, just like He hid Moses before calling him, just like He hid David before crowning him. He hides you before He reveals you. You might have thought your life was on pause, but it wasn't. It was being preserved. The love that's coming into your life isn't random, it's sacred, and sacred things require separation before manifestation. You had to learn what it means to be whole alone. You had to learn that your value doesn't depend on being desired, that your peace doesn't depend on being pursued, because when your soulmate shows up, you'll love from fullness. Not emptiness, you'll give from overflow, not desperation. The time you've spent hidden has been shaping your discernment. So when counterfeit love appears, you'll feel it instantly. You won't fall for potential. You'll recognize truth. And that's the proof that your soulmate's silent prayer was heard. Because God protected the one they were praying for. You, if He would have revealed you too early, you would have poured your love into the wrong soil. You would have exhausted your spirit on people who couldn't reciprocate, so He hid you until the person who could handle your heart with care was ready. Now you're stepping into visibility, not for attention but for assignment. The one who's been praying for you is being drawn in by the same hand that once hid you. And when your paths meet, you'll both understand that what felt like loneliness was really God's shield over your destiny. You weren't being forgotten. You were being guarded. You weren't being punished. You were being prepared. And when the covering lifts and love finally reveals itself, you'll see why it had to take time, because sacred love requires sacred protection. Number 4, the alignment of purpose creates the attraction. Real love doesn't start with attraction, it starts with alignment. Before God brings two people together, He aligns their purpose, because divine relationships aren't built on coincidence. They're built on calling. You're not just meeting someone to fill a void, you're meeting someone to fulfill a vision. When Scripture says, 2 are better than 1 because they have a good reward for their labor, it's more than poetry. It's Principle. It means when two people carry a similar assignment, when they share the same spiritual direction, heaven multiplies their impact. That's why God couldn't let you settle. That's why certain relationships had to fall apart, because the purpose didn't match. You were trying to create love out of chemistry, but God was trying to build love out of destiny. Your soulmate isn't just someone who looks good beside you. They walk in agreement with you. Their spirit recognizes yours. Their peace matches your peace. Their vision complements your calling. That's real attraction. It's not just about physical spark. It's about divine synchronization. When your inner world is in order, you stop chasing relationships that drain you. You start attracting the one who strengthens you. That's the law of spiritual resonance. When you walk in purpose, you attract purpose. Your soulmate's silent prayer wasn't, "God, send me someone beautiful." It was, "God, send me someone aligned." And God has been aligning both of you without either of you realizing it. He's been shaping your character, refining your focus, teaching you how to love without losing your boundaries. While you were learning patience, they were learning peace. While you were learning surrender, they were learning stability. Heaven was preparing both sides for partnership, because divine love is never about completion, it's about collaboration. When you meet, it won't feel like striving, it'll feel like flow. You'll notice how everything that felt heavy in the past suddenly becomes effortless. Conversations will heal instead of hurt. Plans will move instead of stall, and peace will confirm what passion once confused. That's when you'll know the attraction is real, because it's birthed out of alignment. You won't have to chase it, you won't have to force it. It will fit naturally, because what God aligns, no one can disrupt. Sometimes the reason you felt unseen in love is because your light wasn't meant to attract everyone. It was meant to attract one, the one who carries a similar flame. That's why purpose is the foundation, not preference. When you build on purpose, attraction becomes sacred, it becomes stable, it becomes sustainable. The world tells you to find someone who excites you. God tells you to find someone who agrees with your assignment, because excitement fades, but agreement builds. That's the proof. Your soulmate's silent prayer has been heard, because both of your lives are being directed toward the same purpose. And when purpose meets purpose, the result isn't just romance, it's revival. You'll know it's real, because peace will confirm what your past pain once doubted, and every delay will finally make sense. Number 5, your faith activated. Their breakthrough. Faith isn't passive, it's powerful. When you pray in faith, heaven moves. And sometimes your prayer doesn't just shift your life, it shifts someone else's too. Your soulmate's silent prayer was heard, but so was yours. And somewhere in the unseen, those two prayers met. Faith is energy in motion. It's a signal heaven recognizes. And when two souls carry faith in the same frequency, God begins to move mountains to bring them together. You may not realize it, but your faith has been working in ways you can't see. Every time you chose hope instead of bitterness, every time you forgave instead of closing your heart, every time you trusted God after another disappointment, you were releasing faith into the atmosphere, and that faith reached them. Scripture says the prayer of the righteous is powerful and effective. Your faith carried effectiveness. It became intercession for someone you haven't met. Yet, your strength has been contagious. In the spirit realm, your decision not to give up became their confirmation not to quit either. Because while you were believing for love, they were believing for healing, and God used your faith to accelerate both. That's how divine connection works. Two hearts believing at the same time, even without knowing each other, both praying for the same promise, both trusting the same God. Faith created the bridge before the meeting ever happens. So if you've been wondering why you feel a sudden peace about love, why you've stopped forcing, why you've started resting. It's because your faith has already built what you used to beg for. Faith turns waiting into preparation. It turns fear into focus. It turns uncertainty into alignment. Your soulmates. Breakthrough didn't happen in isolation. It happened because heaven honored both prayers. Faith is never wasted. Even when it feels like nothing is changing, it's shaping everything. So keep believing, keep expecting, keep walking with an open heart. Because the proof your soulmate's silent prayer was heard is that your faith is already producing fruit on both sides of the promise. You don't have to chase it. You just have to stay in faith. Because what faith builds, love reveals. Number 6, the wait was proof of your worth. Waiting is one of the hardest parts of faith, especially when your heart is ready, but life still says not yet. But I want you to understand this truth. The wait was never punishment. It was proof of your worth. You weren't waiting because you were forgotten. You were waiting because you are valuable. God doesn't hand sacred things out carelessly. He protects what has value. He withholds what is holy until the right hands are ready to hold it. When Scripture says, "They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength." That's not just about surviving delay. It's about transformation during delay, because the wait reveals who you are. It refines what you want. It strips away what's shallow and leaves what's real. Every time you chose faith instead of frustration, you were being strengthened. Every time you refused to settle for less, you were showing heaven that you understand your worth. The waiting room of God is not empty space. It's sacred ground. It's where He matures your spirit so you can carry what you prayed for without breaking under the blessing. And that includes love. You see, if God gave you that relationship before you knew your worth, you would have allowed it to define your worth, but now you know who you are. So when love arrives, you'll enjoy it, not depend on it. That's maturity. That's wholeness. Your soulmate's silent prayer wasn't for someone desperate. It was for someone grounded. Someone who knows peace even in the unknown. Someone who has faith even in the waiting. And that's who you've become. When you were crying, thinking the wait meant you were unloved, heaven was smiling, knowing the wait was shaping you into someone capable of lasting love, because love isn't a reward for endurance. It's a responsibility for maturity. God waited to reveal your person because He needed you both to know your identity before you met, so that the relationship would be built on purpose, not on pain. That's what makes the wait worth it. You've been through seasons where nothing seemed to move, where every prayer echoed back silence. But that silence was sacred. It was God's way of showing you that real love takes time. He didn't want to give you imitation affection. He wanted to give you divine connection. The world tells you waiting means you're being passed over. Heaven says waiting means you're being preserved. That's why when you look back, you'll see how every closed door, every unanswered call was protection in disguise. You were being hidden from people who would have mishandled you. You were being delayed so that timing could align perfectly. And now the wait has built a version of you that's strong, stable, steady. When you meet your soulmate, you won't confuse intensity with intimacy. You'll know the difference between attention and intention because you've seen both. The wait was not wasted. It trained your discernment. It deepened your gratitude. It stretched your faith. You're no longer the person who prays from fear. You're the one who prays from authority. That's what waiting did. It turned your longing into wisdom, and that wisdom will protect your love when it finally arrives. Your soulmate's silent prayer was for someone patient, someone steady, someone whole. And that's the very person you've become through this wait. So don't resent the time. Respect it, because the delay was your development, and the proof of your worth is that God trusted you enough to wait. You were never behind, you were being built. And now the time that once felt like loss is about to become the foundation for love that lasts. That's the proof your soulmate's silent prayer was heard, and every moment of waiting was heaven whispering, "You're worth it." Number 7. When God brings it together, It will be undeniable. When God writes a love story, there's no confusion in it, there's no guessing, there's peace. The same God who heard your prayer, the same God who heard your soulmate's prayer, is the one orchestrating the timing of your meeting, the one arranging every detail. You can't see, you won't have to chase it, you won't have to convince anyone, you won't have to force anything. When it's divine, it flows, because what's sent by God doesn't need manipulation, it needs recognition. And when the time comes, you'll recognize it instantly, not because it's perfect, but because it's right. When Scripture says, "The blessing of the Lord makes rich and adds no sorrow with it," that includes love. The kind of love that doesn't drain you, the kind that strengthens your purpose. You've been through the waiting, you've been through the healing, you've been through the refining. And all of it was leading to this, because when God brings it together, it won't feel fragile. It will feel finished. You'll both look at each other and know you didn't find this. God revealed it. The conversations will flow easily. The timing will align naturally, and the peace you feel will be louder than any fear. You'll see. Confirmation after confirmation. Doors will open. Things will align. People will witness it and say, "Something about this feels different." That's how divine connection feels. It's not a rush, it's a revelation. God won't send you someone to complete you, he'll send you someone to complement you, someone who adds to your peace, not subtracts from it. They'll love you with clarity, they'll honor your presence, they'll understand your value without you having to explain it. Because when it's from God, you won't have to shrink to fit it, you'll grow inside it. You'll both know that this isn't ordinary. You'll feel that heaven was involved. That's why the wait was worth it. That's why the silence made sense, because now it's time for manifestation. When God brings two people together, he aligns every detail, he connects every step, he redeems every delay. And he makes it so undeniable that even your doubts have to bow. You'll see how the heartbreaks had purpose, how the rejections had reason, how every not yet was really not them, because when it's divine you won't have to perform for it. You'll just be, and they'll see you. Not the image, not the potential, but you, as you are. That's love. That's what heaven intended from the start. You'll both be living proof that prayer works, that patience pays off, that God really does hear silent cries. Your soulmate's silent prayer was heard. Yours was too. And now heaven is delivering the answer. You'll feel it in your spirit before you see it in the natural. You'll sense the shift. You'll feel the peace. You'll know deep down. This is it, and when you stand face to face with the one God prepared for you, you'll understand why it had to take time, why it couldn't be anyone else, why it had to be now, because when God brings it together, it's undeniable, it's unbreakable, it's unexplainable, it's not luck, it's not timing, it's destiny. That's the proof. Your soulmate's silent. Prayer was heard, and the answer is unfolding right now, before your very eyes. You've made it this far for a reason. This message found you because heaven wanted to remind you you are seen, you are heard, you are loved. Your soulmate's silent prayer was never lost in the noise of life. It was received, it was recorded, it was answered, and everything you've walked through, every heartbreak, every delay, every lonely night, was proof that God was building something too powerful to be rushed. You've learned to heal, you've learned to trust, you've learned to wait without breaking, and now you're standing at the edge of everything you prayed for. This is not the end of your waiting, it's the beginning of your becoming, because when divine timing and divine purpose collide, nothing can stop what God set in motion. The same hand that protected you, the same voice that guided you, the same grace that sustained you, is the same love that's about to reveal what's been promised all along. You don't have to chase, you don't have to beg, you don't have to wonder if it's coming. It's already unfolding. God is faithful to finish what he starts, and that includes your love story. Your soulmate's silent prayer was heard, but so was yours. And somewhere in the unseen, heaven has already introduced your names to each other. So keep walking in faith, keep believing in divine timing, keep protecting your peace, because every single act of obedience, every act of surrender, every time you chose hope when fear tried to speak louder, you were building a bridge toward divine connection. This next season is not about searching, it's about seeing how everything that didn't work was necessary, seeing how every delay developed you, seeing how every unanswered question led you closer to truth. When it happens, you'll know it was never random. It was revelation unfolding. So take this moment. Breathe, release the anxiety, release the pressure to figure it out, and rest in this truth. You're not waiting anymore. You're aligning. And as alignment happens, love will appear now before we close. If this message spoke to your heart, if you felt peace, if you felt seen, if something in your spirit said yes, then subscribe right now. Because what we're doing here is not just videos, it's ministry, it's healing, it's transformation. We are building a space where men and women become whole, where love is restored to its divine design, where faith and wisdom meet in real conversation. So subscribe to Wisdom from Above, join this family, and keep growing with us, because the next chapter of your life, the one you've been praying for, the one your soulmate has been believing for, it's already in motion. Heaven has heard both prayers, and soon you'll see the proof with your own eyes, because when God brings it together, it's undeniable, and that's exactly what's about to happen in your story.